holiday tragedy at Conan O'Brien's Christmas party involving the Reiners is getting so much worse. Now, the TMZ ghouls have brought out a new story, and they're highlighting a podcast where Nick Reiner, the accused of having deleted his parents, says that he was using all kinds of things with his dad's knowledge. Will California sweep all of this under the rug and try to make sure it's snug away from anything that might bring dismay to politicians? We'll tell you on the other side. Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, where we cover the news you need to know. And when it requires the kind of deference you need, we're here to make the difference indeed. Click the like button, drop a comment down below, and let's dive into why the Holly Weirds might have much to fear, and maybe even the politicians too. You know, I don't like TMZ. I'm just going to put that out there for everybody to understand. I don't like TMZ. What they did following the Charlie Kirk situation, I don't like them. I don't like them at all. I regret having to cover this through TMZ, but they have it exclusively, and we're going to cover it because this is about to get real ugly. Hollywood, the A-listers en masse went to the Conan O'Brien party where things got bad. There are allegations that Conan O'Brien refused to let them call the police or try to get him in a hold, all this kind of stuff, whatever. TMZ is now out there saying that there's a resurfaced interview with the Reiners, and this may just be so awful what's been going on, and maybe a lot of snakes in the garden. Let's talk about it. It says, quote, "My dad talked me down during an 8-hour illicit trip." We're going to say that, illicit trip, okay? You can see it on the screen. If you can't, well, just look at it real fast and you'll see what we're talking about. Let's get through this one, folks, because this is going to have an impact on the trial. And that's why we're going to talk about it, because if all these celebrities are going to be brought to trial and testify and subpoenas and all of that, and probably, unless he pleads guilty, then that's where we're going with this. Then all this muck is going to come up. And there's something we can learn from this, I think. It says, in the wake of his arrest for the tragic deletions of his parents, a resurfaced podcast interview with Nick Reiner paints a vivid picture of how much they loved and cared for him. While promoting his 2015 film, which would be to say, we've been doing this now for a decade, right? This behavior for a decade. While promoting his 2015 film, Being Charlie, Nick spoke to the problems he had been experiencing and the recovery in the podcast Dopey. And he did impressions of his parents while recounting how they helped him through a bad illicit trip. Nick told host David Mannheim he'd been hanging out with a friend from a illicit substance program, and he ended up taking some of the stuff that he shouldn't have taken. While Nick had done the thing before, this time he felt different. As he could feel things start to go awry, his friend left, leaving him to deal with it by himself. After already having been through multiple stints in rehab, Nick said he knew he could be open with his parents about having taken the stuff. When he woke them up with the news that he was in the grips of a bad trip, his mom left the room exasperated, which is to say they'd had enough of it. Nick says he curled up next to his dad in bed, tripping his derriere off. Okay? Diving into an impression of his dad, Nick quoted him as saying, "Calm down, son. I used to do this in the 60s. You'll come down. It won't be forever." Nick revealed he just talked me down for like 8 hours straight. We laid side by side in bed, looking up at the ceiling while he told me about the 60s. In the weeks leading up to the deletion of his parents by him, allegedly, Nick was diagnosed with another issue. And the question is, did that other issue and medication changes, maybe stuff that was being handed out at the party, although we don't know that, did all of that combine into a toxic cocktail of what happened? However, with TMZ putting this out here, what we've got to ask ourselves about now is, who knew what? How long did they know it? And was this a behavior that had been fomented? And, when we're talking about 8-hour trips and laying in the bed with your dad while he walks you through it, and he says he's experienced it too, like, guys, this is going to get ugly and messy as this son perhaps tries to not be found guilty. And I'm worried at this point. I don't want to say that I'm worried, but there's an unpleasantness to this. And I think we can all feel it. There's an unpleasantness to this of the family's, the skeletons in the closet coming out during this trial, and maybe the celebrities also having to testify about what they knew and how ugly this was. And I think this is going to get very unpleasant very fast with this guy trying to say, no, I'm a victim of my circumstances. I'm a victim of my upbringing. I'm a victim of all these people around me. And I kind of think that's why TMZ is doing this too. What say you, panel? Like, how do we cover this in the most appropriate way, given how ugly this can get real fast?
Don't everybody jump in all at once.
It's a very unpleasant. I mean, this stuff coming out, Lauren, it's not the kind of thing that you want to deal with because these people are victims. And yet at the same time, TMZ, which is a very toxic place that we have great distaste for it, they're putting this stuff out there now. And it's like, this is going to be a lot of yuck that we're going to be stuck in with the celebrities going to the trial.
Yeah. I think the question for me at this point is, does it mean anything? You know, unfortunately, the parents are dead. The child, he's an adult. The adult son of the deceased is either going to jail or he's going to be involuntarily committed, one or the other. Some details about the party may or may not come out. It'll be forgotten in a news cycle. Will it change anything? Will we actually be looking at making it easier to commit people who are in danger? I don't know. I kind of doubt it. I don't think this is really going to have much of an impact outside of being a sensationalist story, unfortunately.
Yeah, and you know, like the Obamas, they went on the Jimmy Kimmel show and they talked about how they were supposed to meet with the Reiners, you know, when this happened. And this is a lot. Here's the thing about it, okay? Everybody's forming their narrative about this. It seems like behind the scenes, there's a lot of yuckiness that you don't want to talk about after a tragedy because you don't want to be rude to the victims and you don't be rude to the people who love them. And we're trying not to do that. This is going to be a really yucky kind of place to be. And Lauren, when you're asking like, what's it going to matter? Where it starts to matter is when we're talking about this upper echelon of the power brokers in Hollywood that goes all the way up to the former president and his wife, you know, meeting with them. These are very political figures. The Reiners were known to be extremely political. How much of this mud is going to land on some of those other political figures, and what's going to be done to prevent that? Like, what kind of hijinks might we see in the legal system to make all this go away? I don't know. I wonder if some sort of very rapid plea deal happens to get this out of there. And I wonder if that's what's happening behind the scenes is very powerful people saying, we don't need this. We don't need to testify on TV. We don't need to give, you know, we don't want you coming into this Christmas party. What does it take to make this go away? What can we do? And that might go all the way up to high levels in the California government, honestly.
It's just, you know, this is, it's times like these when you know that the attorneys, you know, come in like vultures. And I mean, you've got entertainment attorneys. California's got to be filled with them. I would love to get Ron Coleman's take on all this and what's going to happen, because he might have some insight. You know, that would be very, very interesting. But this is. It's a tragedy that because it happened in Hollywood, because it happened with the figures that it happened with, is going to be exploited by places like TMZ and other outlets when they have the opportunity for it. It's what was it? Was it Hillary Clinton? I can't remember who was the famous Democrat that said, you know, something to the effect of what was it about using tragedy to take advantage of it? I can't remember the exact wording there, but you hate to see it.
It was Rahm Emanuel saying, "Never let a crisis go to waste."
That's the one I was thinking of. You never let a crisis go to waste, and that's like what, you know, it looks like is happening. And I just hate to see it. Honestly, this is something that for myself, I want it to go away as quickly as possible. In other words, to be settled. Whatever is going to happen, I want it to be settled as quickly as possible. And
I'm with you, Ron, unless something happened at that party, unless this guy was given something that did not interact well with his medicine, in which case, okay, then we want to see it. Here's the problem, and I don't want to be right on this one. But I'm just going to put it out here. I am not going to be shocked if suddenly in January there's a plea deal or something that makes this rapidly go away. And we've seen this before, right? You all have seen this when high-level kids of famous people do really bad things, and poof, the judge acts in a way that's unusual. I don't think this guy's going to be walking the streets anytime soon. But I would not be shocked if something happens in California where they say, you know what, you're going to go to psychiatric whatever for the rest of your life, and nobody has to testify, and that's it, game over, goodbye. That would not surprise me because of the ugliness and who this might be affected by the ugliness and the damage that it could do to the political system. A lot of people don't know this. A lot of people don't want to talk about this. And we're trying to be as respectful as we can. But the Reiners were at the highest level of California, at least politics. We'll say it again, folks. We say it every time we cover this kind of stuff. Our hearts go out to everybody affected by this. There's no worse way that we can conceive of to go out than to have your own child be the one who does it. And so we take no pleasure in covering this stuff. We wish the best thoughts and prayers to those involved. We set the politics to the side on all of this, but we do have to cover it. We didn't think we were going to have to cover it. We do have to cover it now that we know that there were a lot of celebrities around this who may be testifying in a trial, and that's going to be a big story. We got to be ahead of that and say, how much is Hollywood itself going to be on trial in the next year? And put another one in the can, folks. A video of excellence has been birthed into existence, and you were there to witness it. Thank you for participating. We hope you had a good time. Folks, it's a great time anytime we get to share time with you, and we mean it. The only thing additional we ask, on the way out the door, consider clicking the like button. Share, subscribe, click it and stick it to those pesky algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. And oh, by the way, if you would be so kind, perhaps share this out on your favorite social media platforms. Folks, we've got all kinds of content coming your way. If you are interested in going even beyond all of that, well, there's a Pro Store, and you can always find those items directly below the video you're watching. The Pro Store, it's a cool place to check out for items that, well, definitely Disney and the rest are not going to sell you, but we're happy to do so. Until the next time, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.